And we are back now with Republican Congressman Mike Turner. Good to have you back.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
So what were you thinking when you saw that Oval Office meltdown?
Well, I mean, the first thing, obviously, is, we have to realize why this is important and really what was at stake here. I mean, this is important because Ukraine is important. This is about the fight between, authoritarianism and freedom and democracy. This is the Ronald Reagan evil empire against democracy. So as we're watching this fight, we have to be concerned about what's crumbling here and what needs to be put back together. I think that's what we all felt in our stomachs and our anxiety as we watched what was at risk here. The second thing is really how inappropriate this was for Zelenskyy. I mean, the context is this was a signing agreement. Zelenskyy had been negotiating with the United States on a minerals deal, an economic deal, as the Treasury Secretary said. He'd been doing so for weeks. I'd met with him with members of Congress in Munich. Right. He had told us some of the terms that he wanted. He had a successful deal. The United States had conceded. He was flying here under the pretext that he was going to sign this deal. This should have been a win. As he's sitting in the Oval Office, he said, I want the president to stand with Ukraine. In moments, he was going to be standing with the president of the United States with a win that he had negotiated. And instead of taking that win, he turned it into a debate on American security guarantees during the peace negotiations, instead of taking that win and then from that going forward.
Well, it all went sideways after a Polish reporter in the room asked President Trump about his perceived alignment with Vladimir Putin. That's what the president reacted to. And then the vice president jumped in praising Trump's diplomacy. And that's when Zelenskyy said what he said about, well, what kind of ceasefire and diplomacy you're talking about. I brokered deals with Vladimir Putin in the past. Do you really think that this was all to blow it up, or was it just people are talking past each other? I mean, what do you actually think happened?
Well, I think fundamentally here, again, you don't fly, a quarter across the world for a signing ceremony for a deal with the President of the United States and turn it into a debate on American security guarantees, on peace negotiations that are unrelated to the mineral deal that the economic deal that you came to sign.
But you can't take things out of the context in the vacuum, treat them in a vacuum. Earlier in the week, President Trump had referred to Volodymyr Zelenskyy as a dictator.
Which he had retracted because the negotiations
and then he told people at the UN.
In Trump's way, he had taken back because the negotiations had gone forward in a way that was positive.
But this isn't happening in a vacuum.
Right.
It is within question, in fact, where America's alliances are. French President Emmanuel Macron told a newspaper overnight there needs to be a strategic dialogue with European countries that don't have nuclear weapons because they can no longer depend on the American nuclear deterrent. That's an incredible statement from a NATO ally.
Right. And
this is how this is heard around the world.
Right. And again, all of these things are really hysterics and way overstatements, but they're all coming from the crux here of that Zelenskyy has made, and I truly believe this is Zelenskyy, he has made a precondition of going forward with peace negotiations, American security guarantees. And what you saw was him enter into a very public debate with the President of the United States in the Oval Office of, and you heard it, you actually yourself said it to the Secretary of the Treasury, I want an American security guarantee as a precondition for peace negotiations. No president is going to give him as a precondition to peace negotiations. You do the peace negotiations, then you determine what security guarantees, what arrangements.
Back to failed peace negotiations and failed diplomatic agreements brokered by Europe that had no American guarantee that failed. So it's what's different this time.
But you don't continue a war for it. I mean, you got to hear President Trump. I mean, he engaged by saying, people are dying. We need to stop the dying. We can't go into World War II. And imploring him to let's go forward with the peace negotiations, and then we'll determine what security arrangements need to be made around the peace negotiations. The fact that Zelenskyy has it backwards, the cart before the horse, I want a security guarantee to go into peace negotiations, is really what has caused the impediment.
Are you comfortable Would the U.S. diplomatic outreach and the decision to no longer isolate Vladimir Putin, because he has not said anything about making any kind of concession? Volodymyr Zelensky is being asked to do that publicly.
Well, actually, no, he has not. But the Russians showed up. I mean, I'm very comfortable that Marco Rubio, as our Secretary of State, in the lead with these negotiations, is very competent.
Is he in the lead with the negotiations, or is it Steve Witkoff?
He is in the lead with the negotiations. I'm very confident of his strength. He has commenced the negotiations. I believe that Zelensky needs to trust him. And he needs to not have this precondition of American security guarantees, which are not coming. Remember, Ukraine has been before every president since Clinton. Clinton, in the issue of the Budapest when they were giving up the nuclear weapons, Obama, Bush, everybody has had Ukraine before them. Every American president has declined to give American security guarantees as a precondition to any negotiations.
Well, which is why Zelensky's saying, give them to me now, because nothing stopped them before. So
the peace negotiations need to occur, and then we need to look at what are the construct of what security guarantees need to be, and what is that construct that needs to be put in place.
I want to ask you something because of the position you have on armed services. CBS has confirmed these reports that Defense Secretary Hegseth has ordered U.S. Cyber Command to temporarily halt cyber operations and planning against Russia. The Washington Post reports that that's as long as the negotiations continue. There are no negotiations underway. Does this concern you? Have you been briefed on this?
I don't. No, I'm not unaware of that. I don't believe that would be. There are too many, I'm certain, considerations there for that to be an accurate statement, so blanket.
But they have ordered Cyber Command to halt cyber operations.
Considering what I know considering what I know what Russia is currently doing against the United States, that would, I'm certain, not be an accurate statement of the current status of the United States operations.
You are confident that the United States...
I'm confident, considering what Russia is currently doing against the United States, the status against Russia would not be that. Considering what we are facing from Russia operations, yes.
All right. Thank you very much.